Hello. Okay. Okay. So guys, am I audible now? Can you guys please confirm? Am I audible? Sonali, I just read the chat. Am I audible now, guys? Okay. So let me start all over again. Well, decision making is a section which has its own prominence, it has its own importance because this has a separate cutoff requirement, which means a student who is aspiring to get into the HRM course or the BM course. I hope you all know this. HR and BM are the two significant courses that are offered by XLRI, and if you are a student who's looking at either of these two courses, you are required to meet the cutoffs of different sections. You have quant plus DI, you have English, and you have DM. You need to get cutoffs in each one of them, and then there is an overall cutoff. So a lot of students struggle to get good marks in decision making. So there are different cutoff requirements for HR and BM in this decision making. So both of the top courses in XLRI need you to get a good score here. And what happened in this section, that's what we're going to understand. So this section basically has about 21 questions till 2022 Jan. So till last year January, they were 21 questions, 7 sets into 3 questions each, totally 21 questions. In 2023, what they did is they gave a total of 22 questions. And how did they give 22? 6 sets of 3 questions each, 18. 2 sets of 2 questions is 4, adding up to 22 questions. So this is what basically happened in the last few years of your decision making. Now, whether it's 21 questions or 22 questions, it should not really bother you. Okay, it should not really bother you because the pattern, the type of questions, the nature of the questions, that did not change. That remained the same. So today we're going to take a look at what are these type of questions and how are they different from your normal other questions like your DI or your maths or English for that matter. But to get before we get into that, we'll take a look at few advantages of this particular section. First of all, there is not too much of calculation. This decision making does not have too much of calculation involved. Yes, there are 1 or 2 questions which are a little bit of calculation oriented. You can actually leave them and focus on the non-calculation oriented questions if you don't like calculations. Of course, if you are a math guy, you like maths, you like playing around with the numbers, yes, those 1 or 2 questions will be there for you, right? You can easily score 12 to 14 in the best part is 25 minutes. So I would suggest a student not to spend more than 25 minutes in this section. Why? Because it is more than enough for you to attempt around 12 to 14 and clear your cutoff. Normally the cutoffs are in the range of 8 to 9 marks. The cutoffs are in the range of 8 to 9 marks in this section. Out of, remember, 21. Out of 21 marks or 22 marks for that matter. Now, if you attempt half of them and you have practiced decision making well, normally the expectation is you get around 60 to 70% accuracy. Trust me, my friends, when I say this, the accuracy in decision making is very, very low. In English, if you say 70%, you are okay. In decision making, if you get 70% accuracy, you're good. That's how tricky this entire section is. Because you will see that the questions are not theoretically proven. You can't prove any of these questions. These are based on your judgment. So, and when you're talking about judgment, how will you react in a scenario? How will you respond to a particular event in your life? Now that depends from person to person, depends on your temperament, what type of a person you are. However, there are usually 1 or 2 good ways to react given a situation. Are you the kind of person who understands how to react is what they want to test, right? So we're going to understand why this section is created in the first place. But before that, as I said, the advantage part is it will not take you too much of time. If you can practice it and you can finish it off in 25-30 minutes, you will have a ton of questions or ton of time left for you for the remaining English, DI, quant and grammar kind of RC kind of questions. So this is a section which you can easily finish off in 25-30 minutes. Keep that in mind. That's one of the reasons why I say it's a very important section for you. Apart from the fact that there is an individual cutoff anyway, right? So what is the reason for the existence of this section, right? So XAT wants to see how good students are in making decisions. Decisions that are more subjective than objective. So here we are not talking about prove that this is that. No, these are subjective decisions. It changes based on the scenario. So objective is anyway tested for you by your English and math, right? Here it's more about subjective. Now when I say subjective, don't think about typing an answer. No, obviously that is not required. You're talking about a subjective option given to you. Describes a particular scenario and would you act like it? And you have to pick the correct option the way you would be responding in a scenario like that. Okay. And of course, they want to test how ethical you are. So there are questions which will obviously come to you, in which case you'll say, hey, yaar, this is the answer. This is what I'll do in my real life. However, keep in mind, what you do in your real life actually is different from what they expect of you. Let me give you a simple example. Let us say you're going for your XAT exam. It is 7th or 8th January, I believe that's when the exam is this year, or 6th January. It's a Sunday morning and you are just about to reach your exam hall and you are just on time. And because you are just on time, if you wait for a signal, the exam hall door might be closed. So you jump the signal. Sunday morning, nobody is there, empty road. You jump the signal. Unfortunately for you, a policeman is standing there and he catches you. Now, practically what would you do? If he says, give me $100 and you leave, for example, if the policeman says that, traffic policeman, what do? Practically, you'll say, fine, take the 100 rupees and you'll move on. That's the practical answer. However, if that is given to you as an option and this is the scenario given to you, you cannot mark that an answer because that is not an ethical way. So what I'm trying to explain to you is what is normally chelta hai in your life is not accepted when it comes to ethics. There are a lot of unethical, questionable things that we do in our life, which are accepted in the society. But when you're answering these questions, those have to be taken care of. And that is why the section becomes very, very tricky, because they give you daily, day-to-day life scenarios and you will end up answering the way you normally do. That is not accepted, right? That's one of the problems in this particular section. But that is only on the ethics side. There are also legal side. There is also, the way in which you will react in a HR scenario, in a political scenario, in a personal scenario. So there's so many scenarios they'll throw at you. They have 8 sets last year. Last before year, they had 7 different scenarios for you. So in each scenario, there will be questions and you're supposed to answer them, right? Of course, there will be business and professional. They want to see how good of a decision maker are you. And the decision making is on the business front, it is on the personal front, it is on the socio-political front, on any front for that matter. And they want to see in each of these cases, how are you, right? In a nutshell, they want to see how matured is your thinking. Your answers reflect how matured is your thinking. Kids think in a different way. Matured people think in a different way. They want to test that aspect of yours. And that is the reason why this section has been introduced in the decision making. And to my understanding and to my personal opinion, is it's a very good section, which I believe to some extent other exams should take up. But as of now, none of them have taken up, except probably SNAP gives 1 or 2 questions like this. But otherwise, XLRI is the only exam which is unique to have this section, right? Let's move on. Now, how do you classify the type of questions that come in this exam? The classification of these questions can be done in few basic types. One is non-calculation based questions and calculation based questions. What are calculation based questions? Simple analytical questions, more or like profit and loss, profit maximization. Given this, should you buy that? They'll give you an entire scenario about a company and another company, and then say which company should you go for, which company should you buy, and do some analysis, which is kind of similar to your math and DI questions. Okay, understood. But what are these questions? This is what I was talking about, non-calculation based. As I said, last year and even this year, that is in January, out of the 22 questions, only one set was of calculation based, that is 2 or 3 questions. The remaining 18 questions were, or 19 questions were non-calculation, basically your scenario based questions. So in that there will be ethical conundrums, ethics based questions, social and professional scenarios, your office life, something happening in your office work, there will be questions based on that scenario, and so on and so forth. You are a business leader, they'll put you in a business case study where you're supposed to make a decision based on the information given. So all these kind of questions come in, and of course there are certain questions like typically what any good examiner does. Let's take a maths example. They'll give you a question which sounds very complicated, but actually if you look at it, it becomes very easy. Similarly, they'll make a passage which has a lot of data, a lot of numbers. They throw this, they throw that, all types of numbers are there in the data for you. However, if you look at the questions, that has got nothing to do with number crunching, that has got nothing to do with calculations. It's only analysis, reading, understanding, and then answering. So they will camouflage certain questions or certain sets into making you think it is a calculation based set, and therefore you will leave it, but later on realize that look, it is not at all calculation, it is simple analysis of the data presented to you. So such type of questions can also end up coming for you. Now when you're talking about non-calculation based, I can broadly divide this into 4 types. One is HR case studies, human resource case studies. One is business case studies. One is socio-political issues, right? And then we have miscellaneous. And finally we have the calculation based, as I already mentioned. So I can put this non-calculation based into 4 categories, and of course there is a calculation based at the end of it. Okay, now what is there in the question? There are MCQs, 5 options with 1 option being correct. Gives 5 statements and are asked to choose the combination of 3 or 4 sometimes. So this is very peculiar. Normally in a maths question, what happens if I ask you what is 3 plus 4? You will say option 7, option B 6, option C 5, and so on and so forth, D and E. You will pick obviously the answer 7 because that is correct. Here in decision making, that's not how it is. There are of course one type of question that you will get is, what will you do? And there will be 5 options, A, B, C, D, E, and you'll pick one option straight away correct. Then they'll say because you'll do this, you'll do that, you'll do that in the scenario, right? That's simple. But there are certain different types of questions also that you'll get, and they will be somewhat like this. They'll give you again a story, nice story, this and that. What should you do? Should you do in descending order? Let's look at this. Okay, this is not writing for some reason. Let me check. Descending order of appropriateness. What does it mean? So what they will say is, look, there are 5 things that you can do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. They can give you 6 things also. And now they will say, out of these 6 ways in which you can respond, give me the decreasing order of appropriateness. So what is the best thing to do? Next, next, next. So you have to arrange them in the decreasing order of reactions, from the best way to react to the least way to react. So this is not just saying picking one option. Basically they will say option A. Now they will say option A is 6, 4, 3, 1, 2, 5. It's like a parajumble in CAT. Option B is they will say, okay, they will basically 6, 4, 1, 2, and they will say 5 and 3 should not even be there. So they will say 6, 4, 1, 2, 5 and 3 are bad, they should not even react like that. So let's say option C can be 6, 3, 4. Basically saying that 2 also is bad. You have to pick one of these. Which one is it going to be? Which means you have to analyze all of these 6 correctly and then in the order of their importance. So questions like this can also come, and this is what makes your entire answers tricky and challenging. Okay, so to answer these tricks and to not fall into the traps, let's go ahead and follow certain thumb rules. If ethics are involved, blind rule, your answer should always be ethical. No matter how impractical it is, the answer should always be ethical. For example, in the case of your XLRI exam and you're late and you got caught, option A says you pay the bribe and get away. Option B says you pay the fine and move. Option C says, but you pay the fine, but you'll be late because the fine will have process, due process, everything. You'll be late for the exam and you might not be allowed. Option C says, give the vehicle to them, go write the exam, come back and do the due process later. So they will look at these 4 or 5 options. What is the best option which will also make you write the exam and also make sure that your answer is ethical and legal. Legal and ethical both. So probably if an option exists like that, saying that, look, I will go to the exam, I'll give my key and my vehicle to them and I'll also surrender my driving license. Later on, I'll come and pick it up. That's if it's an option available, why not? You can do that. It's both legal and ethical. If that option is not there and the best option for you is, look, you will pay the fine even if it is late, it is your mistake, so you have to bear the consequences. That should be your answer. Your answer should always be ethical. Rule number 1. Simple. Don't deviate from ethics. Don't think realistically what you'll do. What you might do realistically will be different. But there, it has to be ethical. Second, don't go for extreme scenarios. Just like in RCs. Everybody, none of them, all such kind of extreme scenarios should ideally be carefully thought about. I will not say reject all of them, but I'll say carefully think about it. Most likely they are not your answers. Okay. Then obviously ethics and legal, they are both similar. You will not go for answers which are legally troublesome. Okay. Then eliminate options that do not directly affect the root cause of the problem, which means you need to understand what is the main cause of the problems. Guys, I've been teaching decision making for the last so many years, and one of the things that I've observed in students is you don't seem to understand the primary reason for a problem to exist. And it is not easy, by the way. I'm not saying you're all bad. I'm saying that in my experience, in real life also, it's very difficult to pinpoint the actual reason for a problem. If you know the root cause, the main reason for the problem, then the solution becomes easy. But it's like an onion layers. You take layer after layer to penetrate and get the root of the problem. If you can do that correctly, and if you can see through the entire story, unnecessary story, and see that one reason why there is a problem, your answer becomes correct. So you need to understand the root cause, and that comes through practice. We'll see some questions today. Okay. Typically leave the questions that ask you to arrange statements in ascending or descending order to the last. As I said, those type of questions do come in, and it is expected that you will make a lot of errors. I've seen students getting 50% accuracy, which is not great. But in those type of questions where you have to arrange them in ascending, descending order, just like your parajumbles, you know how difficult parajumbles in CAT can be. So it is similar to that. I would recommend leave it to the last, because it is going to waste a lot of your time unnecessarily. If there are 21, 22 questions, if there are 5, 6 questions which are descending, ascending, fine, leave them. Answer the other 15, 16 questions which are not those type of questions. It will save time and also errors, unnecessary errors. Okay. And yes, of course, these rules are not just sufficient. These are just my advice, pieces of advice to you. Of course, you have to use your judgment to understand the logic from the following examples. We are going to have a few examples now to help you understand what type of questions come in. Yes, this is very important. Solve the last, 10 years papers, 8 years papers, whatever you can get your hands on. They are freely available. Please Google XAT 2023 question paper, XAT 2022 question paper. Each paper has about 20-21 questions, and if you take 10 years papers, you will get about 200 questions. That's good enough for you to practice and get the correct answers. So that's a good amount of practice material in front of you. So please do this. That's enough. But yes, if you want to learn and understand the logic behind these questions, do attend my sessions, which are going to come in the next few days again, right? And more importantly, when you're solving, don't just bother on what is the correct answer. What you need to worry about is why something is correct, why something is wrong. Focus on the wrong answers, because mostly you will be ending up making mistakes. So you should learn from your mistakes. For that, you need to know why a particular answer is incorrect. Many students only look at, okay, this is the correct answer. They don't think why the other answers are wrong. The moment you start thinking why the other answers are wrong, in the exam, you will not make that mistake. So make it a habit, whether it's RC or decision making, always focus on the wrong answers. You will always get extra additional learnings. Not so much in maths or DI. Maths and DI, they're just numbers. You can't understand too much about numbers unless you are a great mathematician. But otherwise, English, especially RCs and grammar, RC, grammar and decision making, don't just focus on the correct answer, also focus on why something is wrong. That is also a learning for you. Okay. Now let's move on. Good. Are you all ready for practice questions? Can I have a quick round of response from all of you? Can you guys quickly tell me, are you all ready to take certain questions and answer them? All right. Fine. I'm getting few responses. Great. Let's move on and take this passage. So here's the first passage. I'm going to give you about 1 minute or 1.5 minutes to read this. It's about 90 seconds for you to read, understand. Okay. Then we'll move on to the next page. Arushi was asking, is this cutoff only for XLRA? Yes, Arushi, decision making cutoff is there for XLRA. Okay, you're done with this? So let's understand the case in front of you. The occasion was a hyper-publicized switch-on ceremony of solar power facilities on an island with many villages in the Bay of Bengal. PK was the brand ambassador of an MNC that was banking heavily on its CSR initiative to strengthen its presence in India. So somebody called PK, some great celebrity, he or she, the gender is not mentioned, I guess. Well, I'll say he, gender bias. Well, he is a brand ambassador for a MNC. For millions of fans enamored by the aging superstar's Robin Hood-like on-screen exploits. So he's an actor. The pre-event speech of PK was their first glimpse of this off-screen persona. He is very famous. He is more or less like a larger-than-life figure, and he's getting to speak to people off the screen for the first time. After an emotional speech that extolled the virtues of electricity as a driver of well-being and need for inclusive growth, PK, with a flourish of his hand, hit the button to remotely switch on the solar power facilities. So the company has developed these facilities, and he has been brought in to, has been roped in to be the ambassador, and he's given a nice speech. People are happy, and he's clicked the button which will start the facility, right? Tens of media cameras stationed in all the island villages start beaming live feed across the world. Quickly, the event turned from one of joy to something of a shock and horror as all the thatched households on the island caught fire. So it's solar powered, something went wrong, and thatched means dried leaf, huts. They all caught fire, and it was all live on TV. A few villagers were seriously injured in the fire too. Watching the coverage, PK slapped the MNC representative standing next to him on live camera and collapsed on a couch with his head in his hand. Very, very dramatic, right? Typical movie actor. Let's move on to see what happens next. This is the first question now. That is the information. This is the first question. Your time starts now. Please go ahead and give me an answer in chat. Let's see how many of you get the correct answer. I'll give you 1 minute to decide your answer. Your time starts now. Alright, so let's see. Got a lot of answers. I got answers A's, D's, E's, all of them. Okay, let's take a look at what the question is. Soon after, the MNC filed a case against PK for criminal assault. Obviously, he hit somebody on live camera and tarnishing its brand image. Which of the following is the most appropriate reason for MNC to file a case against PK? So what is the reason that the company has gone ahead and filed a case against PK? Which of them is the best option? First, let's eliminate the obvious wrong answers. The highly brand conscious MNC is using PK to divert public attention. Boss, the reason for this entire thing is he hit your employee. If you want to divert public attention, you have to divert it to somebody else, not the person in context. So if I create another scenario, people are already angry with me or at my company now, which means many of them might end up supporting what he has done, because if they're happy at me, he has shown that anger at me, so people might be happy with him. Now, if I want to garner the support, I want to divert the attention by jumping against him, I'm not going to win anything. Again, the people will be angry with me. So that is not the logical reason why they would have done it. That is not correct. C, by similar logic, is also not correct. See, if my sales are dropping, it means people are unhappy with what I did, right? If people are unhappy with what I did, it means they perceive that this guy, that is the PK person, what he did may be right, or if not right, at least they'll say, good, somebody should have been punished. So that is the kind of behavior or mentality that they will have, because of which they might support with him. So if I want to arrest my sales, I cannot go against the person that the people are supporting, which is going to be bad for my sales. So C is also incorrect. Now let's look at A, B, D. The mission statement includes employee first, customer second. So basically you're saying that I will protect my employees first, customers can come second. But again, here we're not dealing with a customer, we're talking about a brand ambassador. And if this is your motto, that is as employee first and customer second, then I don't think there will be business done by any company. Yes, they might be very, very sensitive towards their employees. No company says employees come first, customers come second. Nobody says customer is second. They will probably not even talk about it. It's like saying that our employees are very important to us. But nobody will go and say my employees are important, customers are less important. That's what you're saying, right? So even if that is the way in which you think, you will not say it out aloud. Anyway, A is gone. So now it is between A and B. It is a message to MNC stakeholders that it will not tolerate such inappropriate behavior. MNC is forced to respond. Why is it forced to respond given the public slapping of its representative? What is forced? Why are you forced to respond to anything in the first place? Have you done a mistake? If you have done a mistake, you can't respond. So it's like saying that I did an accident and I'm going and shouting at somebody else. If I'm involved in an accident and it's my mistake, I'll just shut up and say sorry. I can't be aggressive in that scenario, right? Because of which your B is wrong and you'll be left with option A. And many of you have given correctly answer option A. Great. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, that's your answer. Let's move on to the next question. So here's a question. I'll give you 1 minute again. Actually, this is slightly lengthy. I'll give you 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds. Let's see how many of you get the correct answer. Okay, time's up. So let's see what the question is. A few months passed and the slapping incident still garnered a good number of views on social media. So which means people have, witnessed that or seen that again and again. PK's publicist was aware that PK harbored a desire to join politics. She wanted PK to make the most of the publicity around the incident before it faded away from public memory in the next few months. Which of the following options will best help PK take just advantage of the situation? Here just means the right, that is morally right advantage. Straight away you can say this is wrong. Why? Can somebody tell me why is B wrong? Quickly. Okay, this has stopped moving again. Yeah, this is again writing. Okay, fine. Yeah, so why is B wrong? Can somebody tell me? Let me see if anybody has got the correct reason. Okay, I didn't get any correct reason. Okay, why B is wrong? Because you are asking somebody to assault another person. I said legally, morally wrong. You should not go for any such option. So this is gone. But if you look at today's political scenario, there are a lot of local leaders, national leaders who say that इसको मैं पकड़ के मारूंगा सबके सामने. Well, you can say that, but it is ethically, morally incorrect. So your answer for XLRI can be completely different from what is happening in the real life. But you have to, because sticking to what is ethically and morally correct, that is what you need to come up with. So B is straight away incorrect. Okay. Kali says, why is B incorrect? Because A is correct. Well, Kali, that's the line of hilarious thinking that you have. Awesome. Good for you. Anyway, let's move on. Why is option C wrong? He should announce that he's entering politics with the slogan one tight slap. See, the problem is, look at this. He harbored a desire to join politics. The problem is when. Are you ready right now? So you're basically announcing, are you ready? Why would you want to announce something without being ready then? So if you want to get mileage out of it, there can be a better way of dealing it. You shouldn't jump and say, yes, I'm getting into politics. That is the reason why C will be rejected. D. He should meet the MNC representative he slapped and apologize to him in public meeting, which means you are accepting that you are wrong. So you have a positive image going. Already the event has happened that you have done a mistake. Now it is in our eyes, that is XLRI's eyes, it is a mistake. But now that is committed, because you didn't say that you should slap, that is already given to you. Now the question is, given that has happened, what should I do next? Apologizing is a good option, but the problem is the moment you apologize, the people who have been supporting you saying that you have done right will be moving away from you. So this could be a correct answer. Let's keep it aside, right? It is morally, probably ethically also correct, because you've slapped somebody, you shouldn't have done that. Let's see, is there a better option than this? What about E? In the upcoming movie, in the opening scene, he should slap and shame a treacherous corporate official who swindles poor villagers. Well, if he does this, it is a movie. People will forget movie very, very quickly. He's anyway a movie actor. So it will not, it might create good enough impression, but will it be long lasting? Because remember, advantage of the situation for the next few months. People today are forgetting movies in days. You know, people are, movies are getting 200 crores, 300 crores in 1 month over. After that, the next movie comes in. Just look at it today. There's a huge talk about Animal. In the next 15-20 days, there is a, not 15-20, in the next 1 or 2 days, there is Dunki coming out. There is a Salar coming out. Well, people will forget about Animal. They're going to talk about the next 2 movies. Once that is done, New Year, there'll be another movie coming in, big movie coming in. Well, people are going to talk about it. So, today's world, a movie is not a good enough source for people to talk about you. Yes, they will talk about you for a short duration. So that is the reason why I will say E is gone. So now let's look at A and D. What is A? We should visit the island and publicly promise to rebuild the island villages and publicize it in social media. Now, why is this a better option over D? Because in A, he is being shown as a messiah, and the most important thing is he will be talking about this over a period of time. See, remember, apology is a one-time thing. Even if it is morally, ethically correct, it is a one-time thing. You do it once, you'll be covered in newspaper. In the next 5 days, people will forget about it. But if this is the case, you will be covered today for making the promise. Tomorrow, you'll be covered for spending money and being there for a photo op. After a few more days, you'll spend some more money. You go there again, see how the construction is going. Every time you do that, it's a social media opportunity for you and a media, publicity for you. So A is better or a better answer over D, simply because both of them are morally, ethically correct, but A is a better option because it meets the criteria of few months. You can stretch your association, your rebuilding and everything over a period of time. Obviously, rebuilding a village doesn't happen overnight. That is the reason why A is a better option over D. Okay? Right, let's move on. Question. Next passage, once again we have a lengthy passage. Read it. I'm going to give you 1.5 minutes to go through it. Raghul, A is not extreme in the previous question, because remember, extreme means you are saying that I'm going to kill everybody, I'm going to do everything. No, that is the extreme scenarios. Here you're basically saying that I will rebuild whoever suffered. And that's a promise you're making. What is so extreme in that? There's nothing extreme in that. Please message once you're done. Once you're done reading. Okay, so now let's understand the scenario. Ashraf has been working at a cyber security company, very important. Please keep a note of this cyber security company called New Tech Private Limited for 7 years. He's not a young guy, he's been working for some time. 7 years is a good enough amount of time. Having missed a promotion in the previous appraisal cycle, Ashraf is anxious about it in the upcoming cycle. Ashraf is aware that the HR head is meeting the top management to discuss promotion sometime soon. At New Tech, the HR head recommends names for promotions to the top management based on inputs from the functional teams, which means he is somewhere in the management role, not management exactly, but he's somewhere in the middle order level. On a Friday afternoon, Ashraf receives an email from Sridevi, the HR head. It reads, "Hi, I need an urgent favor from you. Please respond if you are free." It was the first time that Sridevi ever contacted him. Again, first time. Keep in mind. To which he immediately replies saying, "Sure, how can I help you, Sridevi? Regards, Ashraf." In a couple of minutes, he receives a reply saying, "Ashraf, I am in the middle of an important meeting, but have to urgently send gift vouchers worth 50,000 to one of our important clients. If you could, please purchase and send the gift vouchers to the email address given below at the earliest." Ashraf, without any delay, sends gift vouchers worth 50,000 to the email address. Now, let's look at the scenario. Okay, this is the question. 1 minute. Go ahead and give me your answer. Okay, done? You guys are done? Let's move on. So, which of the following above mentioned reasons is in a combination will best help Sridevi take up the issue with the top management? These are the options. Note down the options. I'll go back to the screen. Okay, note down the options. I understand it's difficult for you to remember there and here. So note it down. I'll go back. Option A 2, 3, 4. Option B 1, 2, 3. C 2, 3, 5. D 1, 2, 4. E 3, 4, 5. So now we are talking about these are the options. Look at what are the best possible cases for you. In fact, they're talking about this, right? The combination will best help Sridevi take up the issue with the top management. This is from the Sridevi's perspective now. So which three? Obviously, there are 5 statements here and only 3 statements in each of the options, which means 2 statements are going to be rejected. Which 2 statements are going to be rejected? That is the question. Okay, done? Now let's see what the correct answer is. The correct answer is option B, and I'll tell you why it is option B. It's actually quite simple. Guys, first thing I told you, there's one important point. He is a cyber security expert, or at least in a cyber security firm. Okay, so let's not worry about which 3 statements to accept. Let's look at which 2 statements to reject. First, look at option 4. A New Tech employee who was robbed of 20. Now, rob is different from being duped. Remember, rob means somebody robbing cash from you. That could be done at a gunpoint or at a knife point. So you can't compare your scenario where you are in a cybersecurity firm for 7 years and you did not read where the email originated from, especially when the person is emailing you for the first time. So that is a problem, and you're equating this to somebody who got robbed on the road. Probably not on the road, but cash being robbed. Obviously, how is cash being robbed? It's somebody who stole it from him, which is a problem not of the person. So you cannot compare these two. So I cannot, as a manager, I cannot take this explanation and go to my top management to help somebody. So 4 is ruled out. Now look at 5th, even more hilarious. If I knew that certain things like this were happening, should I be not more careful about it? Especially if I knew that few people got fooled. I am an idiot to not check once again. Despite knowing the information, I still fell into the trap. Whose problem is it? The employee's problem. So as a manager, as Sridevi, will I be able to help that person if I take this reason? No. Hence, this is also ruled out. So 1, 2, 3 are your correct answers. I'm not even looking at why are 1, 2, 3 correct. I'm just saying 4 and 5 are ruled out. Look at the way in which we can answer the question. We are not bothered about what is right here. We saw the options. Each option has only 3 correct statements. So we have to delete 2 statements. Which 2 will they be? It's 4 and 5. But now let's try to understand how will Sridevi use 1, 2, 3 to the advantage of the candidate. I erred. However, my financial attitude is on record. So basically, the person is saying that yes, I made a mistake. However, till now, my financial rectitude basically means my financial record with respect to the company and its expenses has been perfect. This is the first time I'm making a mistake. Therefore, I can be an exception. And this is a logic she can talk to the top management. Okay. Next, I acted in the greater interest of the company. So basically, what he's saying is, look, I did not see it, but I was looking about the company's good. You're talking about a client, it was urgent. So yes, I was thinking about the company and therefore I did. So basically what you're saying is, yes, he did a mistake, but he was thinking about the company. So I think chalta hai this mistake, we can, say it's okay for him. That is the kind of logic that you can use. So therefore 2 is also acceptable. 3, the spam email reached my inbox due to the failure of the company's email filter. So he's throwing the blame on the company, saying that, look, the filter did not filter it out. Otherwise, any such spam emails should have been blocked. We are a cybersecurity firm. So the same reason, these 2. 5th is against him. 3rd is the logic is for him. The logic is saying is, look, we are a cybersecurity firm. We are supposed to be top notch. So I assume that any mail that comes to me is going through the filter and everything that is trash has been thrown out. But it did not happen. So it's not entirely my fault. There is a part fault associated with the firewall also. That is a logic we can use. So that is the reason why 1, 2, 3 she can convince her top management. 4 and 5 are actually leading to the problems acceptance on the side of this person Ashraf. Okay. Moving on. Here's the question. I'll give you 1 minute to read the question. Okay, done. So let's look at the question, then we'll come back again. Which of the following observation in a combination, if true, shall best go against the chances of getting promoted? So which of these statements are working against him? Okay, once again, only 3 statements are there, so you have to eliminate 2. So which 2 will you eliminate? These are the statements. So the 3 that you're picking should be against him. Alright, so what do you think are the correct answers? Let me see. What do you think are the correct answers, guys? Let me see some answers. Anyone? Vrinda, Navneet, Shivam, Shipali, Arnav, Vanshita, Manish, Vivek, Ishwari. Well, lot of you. Please give me some answers. Rahul says A. Dhanya says C. E. Wow, I'm getting different answers. Alright, so let's see what the correct answer is. And the correct answer happens to be C. Once again, 1, 2, 3. So let's go ahead and see 1, 2, 3 and why are they correct? Why are they against him? So Ashraf is poor at verbal communication, which is critical at subsequent levels. So this is nothing related to what happened, but it is against him. Yes, because if I am supposed to be promoted and take a higher responsibility, but I am weak in English and it is required for me to speak well and write well in English, then my promotion could be a problem till I improve my English. So yes, this will be going against me. Option 2, Ashraf should have been perceptive even though the company's email filter failed him. Yes, he is after all a cyber security, he is working in a cyber security firm for 7 years, not a fresher. He should know about all of these things. Yes, the company filter failed. That does not mean that he can just take everything that is coming to him as granted. He is after all working in a cyber security firm. So he should also be responsible. So 2 also will go against him. 3. Ashraf joined the email filter team 1 month prior to his receiving the phishing mail. So effectively he was part of the team that failed. Obviously it goes against him, right? Because he was a part of the phishing team, the filter team which works on the phishing emails, and his team failed. So he was a part of the failed team. Hence it will go against him. Let's look at why 4 and 5 are for him. Ashraf rushed to act on Srinivas' request despite his busy schedule. So it's basically saying that there's a mail, my manager is asking me to work, I was very busy, I am still going ahead and helping the manager. It is positive for me, not against me. So not your answer. 5th, Ashraf appears to be highly anxious to get promoted. This is neutral. This is neither positive nor negative. Hence, not your answer. Therefore, the correct answer is option C, 1, 2 and 3. Okay. So friends, that brings us to the end of the session right now. I hope you got a glimpse of how decision-making questions come to you in the exam and how you're supposed to think differently from what traditionally you do for English, what you do for maths, LR, DI and so on and so forth. So here, I hope you enjoyed the session for the last 1 hour, got good knowledge about how decision making appears in the exam. I'm going to come back to you with further such questions, further such scenarios to you. I think I'll be seeing you, okay, it's not over here. I'm going to see you on 26th or 27th, if I'm not mistaken, in the evening, once again 7 p.m. So please stay tuned to our channel. If you have not already subscribed to it, please do subscribe and click on the bell icon, because all notifications, we have a ton of these sessions coming to you. 21st December, tomorrow, Vikrant sir, one of our top faculty members, is taking on XAT reading comprehension. Then we have him taking another session on 22nd. The day after that, vocabulary and grammar. Then we have Naveen Kumar talking about data interpretation and modern math. So we have these sessions coming up, and if you want a reminder, please click on the bell icon. We are going to be there throughout this journey for XAT with you, right? Thank you guys, and all the very best in your XAT preparation. Thank you and good night.